and welcome to today's video where we are going to talk about striving for financial freedom and looking at the exact steps we need to take in order to get there. Now, usually I talk about property, right? How to get started in property, how to raise the money to invest in property, where to find the money, what are the actual processes, and so much more. But today, this video is all about looking at those steps to getting financial freedom. Now, I'm sure most of you would have heard about the FIRE movement, right? Financial independence, retire early. And that's through investing in things like stocks, bonds, trades, and living off of a percentage of the income earned from that investment and leaving the rest of the money to grow, which will allow you to continue to live off the money coming in and ultimately retire early. It's a long-term retirement plan for people who are interested in having the option to retire early if they want to. Same with property. It would be creating a wealth of income through property and living off of those earnings, which will probably be rental income or some form of thing like that. And then you have businesses, people who build these amazing machines, these money machines that allow them to retire early should they want to, hand over the business to someone who still wants to work and run the business, leaving you to enjoy the rewards from your hard work. But today, I really want us to look at the actual steps from an income perspective. So not necessarily the task of working in a particular field, but looking at income as a whole in steps to see how you can get from 0 to 100, being financial abundance, allowing you to, retire early if you want to, having the option to retire early if you want to. Now, generally, we think of financial freedom as replacing our income by producing another form of income. But sometimes we're not really that specific, right? We just say, I want to replace my income. I want to earn enough money to replace my income. But what does that actually look like, right? It's like when you get a new job, you start a new role and you go in there fully enthusiastic, ready to go and say, I'm going to be the best in this organization. I'm going to rise to the top, right? That's the plan. But how can you actually rise to the top without knowing what those key performance indicators are? What are the objectives of that role so you can fulfill those objectives and be seen to be a valuable member within the workforce, allowing you to show that you guys need me and you need to increase my pace as I am the best, right? But do we do that financially? Do we just say to ourselves, okay, you know what? I'm living off of $3,000 a month. I need to replace $3,000 a month and I'm set. Is it, a lot of people just take that thought process, but today I really want to challenge you on that. I want you to think a little deeper, a little wider, a little harder about that approach. I have already thought long and hard about this. I must tell you, these last couple of weeks, it's just been on my mind that I really want so much more from life. I'm very happy where I am, and I think it's important to enjoy the journey as you are on your way through life, enjoying that journey. But for me, it's been in my mind where I have goals, and that will take those coins. You know what I mean? It's going to take some serious coins to do that. I have a lot of goals, a lot of dreams, just like many of you do. But I think it's great for us to not just have the goal, but actually look at what that process is to get us there. We need KPIs for our financial plan for ourselves, not just for our working career or our working role within the workplace, but actually we need KPIs for ourselves so we can measure how far along we've come, right? And not just by looking at the amount of money we've got coming in, but an actual feasibility of where we are at any given time. So many of you would have heard about the Robert Kiyosaki, his quadrant. You've got the top left, employee, which is where you're exchanging your money for time. On the right-hand side, on the top right-hand side, you've got where you own a system that works for you. And then on the bottom right-hand side, you have investment or an investor where you have money working for you. When we're looking at these steps, a lot of us will be starting from different places, right? We're starting from different. Some of you will be listening. You have, 5 grand coming in a month, 10 grand coming in a month. Some of you have £1,000 coming in a month. Some of you may have £10 coming in a month, right? So we're all starting from different places. But the beauty of these steps is that it doesn't matter where you're starting from, because it's looking at what we're spending our money on. You can have hardly nothing coming in and not have much expense because you don't have much money to be spending in the first place. And looking at this process, that's not really a bad place to be, because then you can build from there. I mean, getting 1 or 2 jobs can easily put you in a great position, because if you're not spending on much, that means you don't need to earn much to be able to replace your income, right? But a lot of people who are earning that 10 grand a month, that 5 grand a month, y'all know sometimes your expenses are just as high, if not higher, and you're now having to find a way to create an income to be able to replace all of those expenses you have coming out. So this is going to be great, guys. I hope you got your pen and papers, because you are gonna need one. Now, I've been reading a lot of books in my lifetime. I mean, I'm talking about Anthony Robbins' Master the Money Game, or Money Master the Game. I've recently learned of this gentleman called Joshua Sheets. He's fantastic. He's a financial advisor, just a regular guy in America, financial advisor. But I just absolutely love his thinking around becoming financially free and financially abundant. Then we've got Robert Kiyosaki. You know, he's one of the biggest financial educators around, and he was fortunate enough to get us started by looking at finances and money in a way that allows us to comprehend what's actually going on in the market, what it actually means to be involved in your finances, and what approach to take the right steps. And he's got some great books out there. And then you've got Donald Trump, and he's got some really good books as well that he's written based around finance. You know, one called Media's Touch, which I've read in my 20s, and I found that a fantastic book, particularly when you're starting out in life and you want to understand this money game. These books are a great starting point to have. So if you haven't heard of any of those, go and check them out. You know, you've got The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley, and there's just so much more, guys. I could really go on and on and on. So let's just get straight into it. So the first one is financial self-sufficiency. Okay. And this is where you earn enough money to sustain yourself without any help, any external help, right? Now, this is where your employment income pays for all your essentials, and you have no late payments on your rent or any bills, and you are not in arrears. Now, I was keen and slightly tempted to put in you can be in arrears and you can be late on something, but I decided not to, because I think if you're going to start out in something, you've got to start with the right mind and the right attitude. And having number one as, yes, you're current on all your bills, but then you may have some arrears, I didn't really think that's a good place to start. So if some of you might not even be at number one, and that's absolutely fine. That's the beauty of looking at this whole setup. Some of you may have £5,000 coming in a month. Again, that is fine. The beauty of looking at this setup is that if you have money coming in every single month, you want to ensure that you are not late, you are not in arrears, and you can fully sustain yourself based on your employment income. Okay. Or it could be your business income, whatever which one creates the money income for you, but it needs to be you that's earning it, right? And sometimes that might mean being a little bit frugal. That might mean not necessarily having the BMW, not necessarily having the Mercedes Benz, right? And it might mean taking a step back. And that's the beauty again of looking at this is sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to go 3 steps forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't ever feel defeated. You've got to remember that you're on a journey. This is a progress. This is a process. You are taking the steps, and this is what the beauty of the steps are all about. The second one is financial stability. And this is where you've earned or you've created a regular income that is stable and is unlikely to change, which allows you to grow and build your income from number one. So what does this look like? So here you would have hardly any debt. And if you do have debt, you have, like an 80 to 20% ratio. So say if you're able to take out £10,000 in debt and credit card, or you already have £10,000 on some form of loan, then you are at the 20% mark of borrowing from that pot. Okay. Now, if you're going to have good credit, and this is solemnly based on the UK right now, because I'm not entirely sure how it works in America, but if you are to have good credit, you don't want to have more than 70% of what you have access to credit wise. So if you have a credit card that, say, has £10,000 on it at any one time, you don't want to have more than £7,000 out from that credit card at any one time, because you're looked at a bit risky. From a lender's perspective, they think, well, you have access to all this money. You have a lot of that money in use right now. Dun, 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 dun. Right? So that is their perspective. And I thought that would be a great perspective for us to take when looking at step number 2. Now, I said don't have no more than 20%. That means you need to not be taking out too much on credit, right? Spending within your means. Now, where are we? October. Christmas is coming. I don't celebrate Christmas, but a lot of you max out credit cards at Christmas time. And I think it's time to really relook at what it is we are doing when we are thinking about going into a shop to buy a child the latest PS5, the latest PS4, the latest Jordans, the latest game or some high-end makeup, if it means us having to buy it at a 40 or 39% APR rate. Do we really need to give them that gift if it's going to cost us 39% more? Right? So looking at number 2, where you're financially stable, you are not overextending yourself. The other element with this number 2, financial stability, is where you have 6 months worth of savings in your pot, in your saving pot. So if you have £2,000 coming out a month in expenses, you need to at least have £12,000 saved in the bank. Hold on, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. £12,000 saved in the bank. So that means if you are made redundant, I'm sorry, I just realized I had to do the count. I had to be sure. If you are made redundant, or you lose your job, or something happens which shakes your financial stability, you are able to continue to live off your savings until you can get another job. So that's why I thought financial stability is the perfect title for step number 2, because then anything can happen, although it's not to, because you're in a stable position, but anything can happen. And because you've got those savings pot, you are in a stable position to be able to sustain yourself without worry until you can get another job. So it's like you have a cushion, right? And here you're building security, and you're not living paycheck to paycheck. And some people only get this far from step number 1. Some people actually only get to step number 2. And that's because of their financial beliefs, their financial values, and even your financial habits. So you really do need to be looking at these core beliefs and these core values that you have to ensure that you can go beyond step number 2, because step number 2 is where a lot of people get stuck, right? So what number is that for you? You need to work that out. What number is your financial stability number that allows you to save for that certain amount? Right. So the key thing here is you have savings. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're not in arrears of anything. You have access to funding, finance, and you are not over leveraging yourself. So you only are using around 20% of what you have access to, because again, these are coming at high APR rates. So you want to set yourself up in a winning position. So what does that mean? You are spending wisely. You're being disciplined. You're not overextending yourself. So Christmas is coming, guys. Christmas is coming, guys. Right? If you are someone who celebrates and buys all the gifts, you need to relook at that. And must I highlight, Brexit it's just gone by, right? COVID's just gone by. A lot of us have savings from being indoors, probably a lot of it's gone now too. But what do I mean when I say Brexit? Well, you guys have seen gas prices going up, right? Not just petrol. Petrol is going up. You know, I've got a diesel car. £1.41 is what I drove past today when I saw it. Last week, it was at 138. The week before that, it was 135. So I can slowly see that this is increasing. And guys, you've got to start being diligent. You've got to start being a little bit more frugal than we're being, because we do not know what the future holds right now. As well as that, gas and electric is going up, you know. So, and to be fair, one thing, if you are in the property world and you guys are investing, you are doing developments, you will notice that there are hardly any workmen out right now. They are all fully employed in work. Why? Because everyone's gone back to the EU, y'all. Everybody gone back to the EU, and there's not as many workers as there were available. What has that done? Pushed up building costs. I'm sorry, I didn't even mean to scream. I probably scared you. It was a big shock for me too, right? But it's not only has it not only has it pushed up the cost of building, because builders are now charging whatever they want, right? My plumber has charged me last week just to change the cistern, which I could be saying it wrong. I'll put one up now. Just to charge the cistern, change one from a plastic to a ceramic one, £240. Or was it £250? Either way, I just knew it was way too much. I agreed with him and then went somewhere else. I got someone for £140. But the problem with that is now I've never worked with this plumber before. Never worked with him. So I only can hope he does a good job. But my plumber who I use, he's pushed up the prices. Now, before I could have got on the phone and maybe made a few phone calls and found someone else who's going to be willing to do it to even half that amount. But I don't have that ability anymore because hardly any workmen are here. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back on. Number 3 is financial sustainability. And this is where you earn enough money from your investments to pay for your essential outgoings. Okay, keyword, essential outgoings. Okay, now this is the same as number 1, but you're not necessarily working your day-to-day job, and you're not exchanging your time for money. So here you are earning enough to pay for your essentials, but you have created that income from investment. Okay, so that's a big step. It's somewhat a big jump from number 2, but if number 2, you are earning enough money and you are saving enough money to be able to have 6 months for you to live off in any given situation, something happens, the next step only then is for you to start creating an income from investment. Okay, so this is what step 3 is all about. Here you have the ability to start working when you want. You have a little bit more flexibility to work somewhat when you want, because now you not only have money coming in from your employment, if you choose to stay in employment, but now you have money coming in from your investments. Now, I think it's wise to still stay in employment at this stage. You don't want to put yourself where you think, oh my gosh, I've got enough income coming in from my investments, I can quit my job. Absolutely not at this stage, because anything can happen with investments. As you guys know, the law works. What goes up must come down, honey. So at some point, some investments will devalue. They will depreciate. And therefore, you've got to set yourself up in a way that should it be depreciated at a time when you might just need it, you have something else to lean back onto, which would be your employment income. Okay, so now that's the key difference. Now with this step number 3, you are basically living off, you're basically paying and affording your essentials. So that is your house, that is your car, that is your clothing, that is your bills, that's maybe school or insurance. Okay, if you guys don't have life insurance, consider it insurance. So if anything happens, you are set. Okay, so definitely get insurance for that, but you're literally having enough money to pay for your essentials. Now, you create the ability to sustain yourself from an income from your investment, but the income is not dependent upon how much time you put in. Okay, it's dependent upon the investment itself. This is now money working for you. This is now looking at Robert Kiyosaki's quadrant, and you may be going from employee to investor, or you may be going from business owner to investor, or again, self-employed to investor. Either way, you are now touching on the I in the quadrant in step number 3. Step number 4 is financial self-governance. And I really like that name because this is when you earn enough money to sustain yourself, including all you need and all you desire. Okay, so now we're looking at the desirables. We're now looking at the things that you want to do, the goals that you have. You can actually start fulfilling those goals. You can achieve those goals. You can afford those goals. Okay, so this is here when you hear people have about, midlife crises, and they go for a brand new spanking car or a nice new motorbike, or someone goes for a complete wardrobe change, right? In step 4, this is the time to do it. This is the time to really travel and do all you want and be who you want to be. Now, in saying that, you do need to enjoy the journey. Okay, and you need to enjoy the journey. You don't want to be in step 1 missing out on all the things you want to do instead, and waiting to step 4. Not all goals has to consist of financial. Okay, they don't all have to be around finances. It could be, maybe you want to hook up with a family member who you haven't able to see for a very long time. Again, these are just financial goals. But and when I talk about you can do all the things you love, this is again with using money to afford it. But there are other things that you want to have done that may be, attainable, a goal that's attainable that has nothing to do with finances. And I really want to highlight that because I want it just to be clear that money is not the be end and be all. Okay. But here we are looking at things where you can sustain yourself. We're looking at where you're earning enough money where you can sustain yourself, including all your needs and your desires, right? So you can borrow money, you can lend money at your own peril. You are not limited to constraints for whatever reason. And this can include large amounts of money because your income is sufficient enough that you can go to the bank and say, look, I want to invest in a property. I'm going to need 80% of the loan to value. I've got the rest in cash. Help me out, sort me out. And the bank looks at your credit score. Whoa, amazing. You are earning enough. You've paid all your credit on time. Again, looking at step 2, because you follow the 80-20 rule, you stayed within you stayed within your 20% of what you have access to. Although I might change that to 70-30 because having access to 30% and using 30% is, it's far off from the 70 that they expect. So, let's change that to the 70-80 rule, the 70-30 rule, right? But you having access and utilizing only 30% of what you have access to means that you've put yourself in a very strong driving seat when it comes to credit. So you can go into the bank and borrow what you want. And you can even lend people money when you're in stage 4, because with money, you have money. You don't necessarily need to be living so frugal anymore. Here, you can do whatever you want. You're not limited by the constraints of people or of corporations, and you completely are your own financial governance onto yourself. What a beautiful position to be in. Now, when we're looking at this number, it is different for everyone. It's so dependent upon what your outgoings are. Some people are living a minimalistic lifestyle and they're simple. There's a lot of simplicity within their life. Some people like to have the latest gadgets, the latest everything, and therefore all of that comes at a cost. And you will want to take that number into consideration to ensure that you have factored in for everything. Okay. So what does this number look like? Now, with fire, I thought I'd use fire as a basis just to help me get started with figuring out what would that number be that I need to have? What would my net worth be that I need to have in order for me to say, okay, you know what? I am financially self-governed. What does my income need to look like to know that I am financially self-governed? I thought I would use fire as a basis to help me form a number that is fit and sufficient for me to decide that this is a number I need to attain in order for me to be comfortable and be financially self-governant. Okay. With FIRE, how they look at that is your annual outgoings times 25 as a net worth is sufficient for you to be living off of the income of that. Okay. So say, for example, you invest 25 times your annual outgoings into some form of investment. The rewards you get from that would be sufficient enough for you to live off of. Okay. And it might be a percentage that you live off. You don't live off the whole thing. You'd be just withdrawing maybe 3%, 4%, 5% of that and leaving the other remainder in there for it to continue to work for you. And then you withdraw. It will grow and you withdraw. I thought that's a great place to start from. So with FIRE, and that being an example, say your outgoings is £3,000 a month. Okay. So annually, that's £36,000. We would times that by 25, which would be £900,000 of investment into some form of investment and live off the earnings from that. But when I thought, okay, you invest £900,000, say like I'm a property person, right? I'm not really a stocks and bonds and trades person. I'm a property girl. If I invested £900,000 of money into property, that could be one house. That could be two houses. It could be 5. It could be 10 houses. It really does depend on the location in which you're investing in. But I did think to myself, living off of 10 houses, while that is fantastic, the market does go up, it does go down, inflation's happening. I think you might need a little bit more. You know, with us leaving Brexit, we have no idea what's to come in the future. And I think you need a little bit more of a cushion than just £900,000 if you're trying to replace £3,000 a month. So rather than it being 25 times your annual outgoings, I decided to change it to 50. I did. I thought, right, let's whack that number up, double it up, and make it 1.8 million. Now we're talking. Now I feel secure. Now I feel safe. Now I can go to the bank and say, look, hey, bank, I got this amount of, I've got this value in property, this amount of value in property. I'm not over leveraged. This is what my balance sheet looks like. And I want to borrow some money. What do you have for me? I want to be like, oh, wow, fantastic. I can see you're nowhere, over leveraged at all. I can see here that out of all these properties you own, you only have, a 30% loan to value as a collective. This is fantastic. Yes, we will borrow you money. What do you need? And I say, oh, okay, well, I want to build that. I want to buy that building across the road over there. It's got 20 flats in. I want to buy that building. I need some money for that. Then I need some renovation costs. Can you help me out? So you guys get the gist of this, right? I want to be able to be liquid. I want to be able to move when I want and not have the constraints that come with being a number 3. Okay, with being financially. Okay, so here you are really in the driver's seat. Here you do not work for income. Okay, because money, again, the money machine's still working for you. And I don't see money machine meaning to be a business machine. I mean money machine as your investments. Your investments are still working for you. You live solemnly off your investments in number 4. Okay, so here you don't need to work if you don't want to. I'm knowing me, I probably will still be working because I love being busy. I do like keeping busy. I love helping people and organizations as well. But I think that here you have the option to leave if you want to work. You support yourself completely. Okay. And possibly you help out other family members too, but it's not essential here. Here you can afford both your needs and your desires. So that is the fast car, the motorbike, the holiday 4 times a year, 5 times a year. You can act quickly on investments without limitation. And your retirement plan is totally all sorted here. When you get to number 4, you don't need to worry about retirement because it's already been sorted out just for the mere fact that you already live with your investments. Okay. And you are not over leveraged. So the money is still coming in no matter what you do. And here, if family members fall ill, if a parent fall ill and they got to go into some form of home, you can afford that quite comfortably. Or you have the ability for them to come and live with you and then pay for care that way. But you're not limited. You're not in a tight position. You're far from that. Okay. And then the fifth one, woo, drum roll. The fifth one is financial abundance. Now, funnily, 1 to 4 was a lot of S's, right? We had financial sufficiency, financial stability, financial sustainability, financial self-governance. But this one, we have financial abundance, okay? Because we are in abundance of money. We have more money than we actually can spend. You're earning more money here, more money than you need. Here is the same as the step before, but now you can afford to pay for others. So you can afford for your friends, your family. If you want to take trips away and you just want to treat people, you can do that. That's not a problem. Some people are earning 10 grand a month and they do that right now, and that's not a problem, but they're earning it from an income that they have to work for, that they have to exchange time for. The key difference here is that you are earning this wealth, this abundance of money from investments. So if you decide to put your feet up Monday to Friday, day in, day out, you can do that and you do not need to worry. But with financial abundance, here you could really afford to pay for others. You have deposits for houses. You can pay for houses in full if you want to. And you can even give deposits to family to help them get on the property ladder. And you actually financially provide to others. Now, you might realize here, I'm talking a lot about others, right? Because when you have more money than you need, you've already covered that in step 4. You've already created an income that you don't necessarily need to work for anymore. Number 5 is about, I got too much money. I just got way too much money. And that's a beautiful place to be. So here in this stage, it calls for some type of self-evaluation. And that's because the world has been set up for us to be dependent upon the amount of coins we make, right? The amount of coins that we have. And we strive for these coins. We work day in and day out for these coins. Marriages actually break up because of the lack of coin or the mismanagement of these coins. And when I say coins, I mean money. And countries even collapse because of lack of these coins. And that's quite sad. But if you have more than enough coins, then what becomes your focus? What does become your focus? What is your focus, right? Because you can say, I spend time with my family, but then they're busy chasing coins. They're working, they're parenting, they're surviving. So when you get to stage 5 and you have more money than you need, right, it really does call for some real self-evaluation on what your purpose is for. Now, I'm hoping this is something you will do now, right? This is something I've had to do now myself, and I'll share mine with you. But this is something I've had to do myself because I don't want to be someone who wakes up moody because there's not enough money in the bank. I don't, fortunately, actually, I'm really happy I don't. And that's probably because my mum raised me in a way that money is not the end and be all. My dad was an entrepreneur. Oh, he strived for the coins. He had so many different businesses. I remember one summer going in the back of a van to the Leeds Carnival for us to go and sell rice and chicken. Okay. And we'd done that. And he made so much money over those 2 days. We stayed in the truck overnight and then was back out again in the morning, up early, setting up. And I thought, wow, I never actually really got to see the money. I just saw so much money exchanging hands. I had to dish up all the food. I had to give the napkins, the knife and fork, serve the drinks, but I kept seeing a lot of money coming in. I saw the long queues. And now as an adult, I realized, well, that's actually a great business to be in. Another thing he did was sell perfumes at the stadium in Hammersmith Broadway. Not stadium, is it Shepherd's Bush Stage? That's Shepherd's Bush something, stadium something. I just remember going to this big white building Just set up all their perfume. He'd get all these perfumes from Saudi Arabia, beautiful perfumes. Oh, or the oils. Oh, absolutely beautiful. And Tunisia. And we would set up the table really, really nice. I was very artistic, as I'm, a creative child. So I was like, Daddy, I want to set up the table. We used to have to call him Papa. So, Papa, I want to set up the table. I'd set it up really nice. And I remember then being old enough to sell perfumes, and I absolutely loved it. To be honest, I love frontline sales. That's really where I thrive. I'm such a people's person. But I saw a lot of money exchanging hands. My dad was always in different careers. He was a DJ. Right, he'd done decorating. The list goes on. He made good money. He was always giving us money, and I really enjoyed seeing that. And that's what really woke the entrepreneur up in me. That's why I'm here entrepreneuring. Although I still love working with organizations, I am on the board of directors for the social enterprise arm of Women's Aid in Wales, and it's a beautiful organization to be part of. You're making big decisions, but we're looking at how are we making money so we can allow this charity to survive on its own. And that's the entrepreneur in me. And that is part of, again, not just working for money, but actually working for purpose, doing the things that you actually love, helping, serving people. Okay. So before you actually get to stage 5, you really need to define what you want out of life in stage 1. You've got to go right back to the drawing board, because this journey is not going to be easy. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be hard. You might flutter between step 1 and step 2, right? You might flutter between financial sufficiency and financial stability, trying to get out of that rut. It won't be easy. But you've heard of the stories. I know you have heard of many stories where people grind hard. They collect those coins and then go broke again. Okay? You've got MC Hammer, to name a few. Tony Braxton. Now, we know Tony Braxton's story. If you don't know about Tony Braxton's story, that's on Oprah Winfrey Show. She goes through all of it. And again, that was because she didn't keep an eye on those coins. You can work with people who keep you so busy, you don't have an opportunity to look at those coins. Again, Anthony Robbins actually was in that situation too. He was down 725,000. When he was earning 50 million a year, he was down 725,000. And how did that happen? Well, he chose the wrong business partners. So all of this is about diligence, discipline, right? Determination, but being dedicated. And then obviously you've heard of Mike Tyson's story. And then you hear of people who supposedly have it all. They actually still have the wealth. They still have the money, but then they take their own lives. Okay, and you heard of Robbie Williams. Not Robbie Williams, is it Robin Williams? He took his own life. And I'm sure there's a whole story behind that. They say mental health was part of it. For me, it's about really identifying your purpose, your mission in life, because it's not just about these coins. I'm trying to wake you up. It's not just about the coins. It's so much more than that. Okay. So it's important to define the meaning of life in your life, your purpose, to ensure you are striving to carry out your purpose and not just striving to collect the coins. Okay. And or not just the coins, but purely what they can do for you. So it's not just about value exchange either, right? I want this coin so I can get this latest car. And then what? Because you realize, I got a new car recently, and I realized that I didn't really wake up excited to be jumping in my car. I just thought, okay, I got a new car now. Woo. Okay, woo. But to be honest, I enjoy my long drives to London. From Wales to London is about 4 hours, and I do enjoy that ride, honey. I thoroughly enjoy that ride. But it was never about showing off. For me, it's always about comfort, upgrading my stuff, treating myself for some of these things. But looking at these 5 steps, I now realize that maybe I was just going a little bit too fast. Okay. I'm just keeping it real. Because again, I'm on this journey to learn with you and earn with you. So it's not about me, on a higher platform or anything like that. I'm sharing my journey with you. And I'm hoping you guys share it with me too. Do you remember bartering? Do you remember the day of bartering where it was all about a value exchange. Okay, you bring me fish, I give you chicken. I don't remember that, but I've read about it. Teaching financial literacy for a charity that I worked for in London. That was my role. And I did a lot of research on money and how it all came about. And before money, there was bartering. And there's a little bit of that now. You'll find some websites where you can actually exchange services. Or even on Facebook, there's a site where you can exchange services. And I really like that. I think it's a beautiful concept. I think it's a beautiful idea. But bartering was a time of exchange of goods and services, which kept people on the same playing field. There's only so much chicken I can give. Sorry, no. There's only so much chicken I can get if I'm not going to give anything. Okay? That's a level playing field. That means I can't see how you're going to get rich if you ain't going to give. Okay? But that was all taken away when the coins came into play, right? And now that the coins are here in the playing field, it's really unleveled the playing field, okay? So we have to define what life means to us on this journey from financial sufficiency to financial abundance, okay? Now with mine, I feel like my role is to make the world a joyful place to live in by creating joy for myself and for others, by creating, giving, and loving. Okay. Now that was a definition pretty much after reading my Torah on Saturday, reading the laws that have been placed here by the Most Highest, and looking at what he expects from us as humans to make this place a wonderful, joyful place to live in. And we got to do good. We got to be good. It's not about what we have to show off or platforms or hierarchies. It's about creating joy, being respectful, being honest, not stealing, not lying, not coveting, not looking at other people's goods and saying, I want me some of that. No. Okay. If it's not for you, keep your eyes on your own prize. Right. So I hope you guys have really taken something away from looking at these key steps that I put together to get in financial abundance and creating some form of visual for you to have so you can really measure yourself against that. Okay. Because a lot of people get to number 2 or number 3 and think they are there. And you are so far from there, honey. So take away these steps. Let me know what you think and let me know what you guys are going to do yourselves to get to financial abundance. Or are you even on the journey to financial abundance? Some people don't care about that. You hear of the most poorest people absolutely living the most beautiful lives because they're not striving for coin. They're striving for happiness, to play with one another, to enjoy one another, okay? To fulfill each other. Beautiful, beautiful place to be. If you like this, please subscribe. Consider sharing this content with anyone who you feel would benefit. And I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take care. Bye.